Okay, in the first video we looked at the Dancian 3A system's performance, and this is the second video, and here we're going to look at a sample trade and how the system, this particular single system in isolation, Dancian 3A, went through doing a trade. So we can go over here to the Trades tab and we can select it, and we can see here every single trade, all 3,280 trades that the Dancian 3A system would have placed starting in 1986 going all the way through November 15th, 2011. And we can view it by entry date, we can view it by the trade P&L, we can view it by the percentage gain, exit date, number of contracts traded, whether it was long or short, this particular trade, or by symbol. And so let's go ahead and look at it by symbol, and we'll look at an example trade in CL. So here is a trade in CL, crude oil, and this was a long trade. You see the L right there, and this was a trade that bought 120 contracts of CL on November 15th, 1999, and we can go to the crosshairs here. We can see it on the yellow graph. We bought 115 contracts on November 15th, 1999, and those were the January 2000 delivery month contracts. And we can also see we held this contract through several different roll periods, which were already calculated into the trade P&L. All that's already baked in there, and we'll look at that more later. And we can see we held this position all the way through till April 4th, 2000. And so on November 15th, we bought on a 44-day high, and we held until we hit a 28-day low down here on April 4th. And of course we also knew we could go long because our MACD indicator said that the long-term trend in crude oil was bullish because the 75-day moving average was above the 300-day moving average, which meant that our MACD indicator was positive, which meant that this trade was good to go. So we went long here on the 15th of November 1999. We held it until April 4th, 2000. Now, you see this green vertical rectangle over here. We're going to look now in more detail at where those numbers came from. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull up the exact math behind that, what the software was doing. So here it is. So what I did was I just wrote out the formulas that the software is doing automatically, and we're just going to go through now and manually verify that these numbers are correct and see where they came from. And so we could have done this for any trade in any system. I just picked this one just so we could see exactly where all these things were coming from. And first of all, we see this was a long trade, and we bought 120 contracts. And let's look at where that 120 number came from. How did we know to buy 120 contracts? Well, we were using fixed fractional position sizing, and so that meant that what we're doing is we're trying to figure out how many contracts to trade based on our stop. And if we look over here, we see our order price was $79.95, and our stop was $77.34. We got our stop price from this formula up top, and since we're doing a long trade, we're going to look at this first stop price formula right here. And that says that the stop price for a long trade is the order price minus 3.8 times the 39-day ATR. Now we got the 39-day average true range. That's an exponential moving average of the 39-day ATR times 3.8. 3.8 was just our ATR stop that we chose in the Dancian 3A parameters. We just happened to choose 3.8 for that stop. That's where that number comes from, and that could have been 5, 10, or 3. Wouldn't have. We could choose whatever we wanted, but this system has it at 3.8, so that's why it says that there. We're using 39 days for calculating our ATR, and we're doing an exponential moving average, EMA, for getting that 39-day ATR. So our order price minus this product of the 39-day EMA of the ATR times 3.8, which would give us 77.34 right here. So we know that our order was $79.95 and our stop price was $77.34. And that means that our risk per contract is $79.95 right here minus $77.34, which gives us 2.61 times 1,000. And the reason why we're multiplying this 2.61 number times 1,000 is because of the contract price. So we actually have 2.61 times 1,000, which gives us 2610 down here below. And that's our trade risk in absolute value form. So 2610, that's our trade risk. So our formula we're working with overall is this one right here. We're trying to fill in these numbers here to get the number of contracts. And we just found our trade risk was 2610. We still need to find our previous day of total equity, and we still need to find our risk per trade. Well, our previous day of total equity is already listed for us over here in the green rectangle, and that's listed right here, 89,944,615. And all these numbers are also accessible using Microsoft Excel. All these are actually very large Excel files listing everything going back day by day, but it's just listed for us right here. So previous day total equity we now know, and we know our trade risk, so all we have to figure out is our percentage risk per trade. Our percentage risk per trade is another parameter we chose when we were choosing the parameters for our Dancian 3A system. And on the top left part of that page where the 5 systems were listed, that particular system, the Dancian 3A, has a risk per trade of 0.35%. So we actually know that also. So we know our trade risk right here. We know our risk per trade, 0.0035, for putting that into the formula. And we know our previous day total equity down here of 89 million. So this formula here, I just wrote it again down here on the bottom. If we plug in the following numbers we just figured out, means that we're going to be buying 120 contracts of CL on November 15th. So that's where this number 120 came from. And